the last thing I want to show you is it's not something that you normally have to do, but it's something that you could
Go
do.
over your shoulder.
But it should be something that you should understand how to do.
Okay?
Okay? Besides using a cone fire mode, you can use something that is called a ramp and hold mode. At least it's called that on this kiln. Different manufacturers call it different things. Some call it, well, there's different names. But on here, what we want to do is enter our own program.
Okay.
Okay? Once in a while, at my shop, I'll have somebody bring in a massive thick sculpture that they want to fire. They don't have access to a kiln, or the people that he normally does firing with can't fire this sculpture slow enough for him. So what we do is we program a specialized firing for a very thick, heavy sculpture.
Okay.
Okay? To program your own firing, you would hit this button called ramp and hold.
Okay.
Okay? Ramp hold. Now you can store programs under a user number in ramp and hold. 1 through 6 is normally on these machines how many different programs you can store.
Okay.
Okay, so if I wanted to do an extra slow firing, I could program it under this. If I wanted to do Raku and I wanted to fire extremely fast, I could store that program under number 3.
Okay.
So it's asking me, the first thing, after I press the ramp and hold button, it's going to ask me what user do I want to store this program under, okay? Say I want to be user number 5, it's my favorite number. So I'm going to hit 5, and then I'm going to hit enter. Now it's going to ask me 3 questions. It's going to ask me how many segments
Okay.
do I want this firing to do. A segment has a couple of components. It has the rate of ramp in degrees per hour
Coming
that
up.
this is going to rise.
Okay.
And you could program one to fall in temperature at a pre-programmed rate, but we're going up. It's going to ask me my ramp speed in degrees per hour.
Okay.
It's going to ask me my target temperature
Okay.
in degrees. And it's going to ask me, when I hit that target temperature, do I want to hold at that temperature for any
Gotcha.
amount of time? So let's do a simple 1-segment program. Okay? Say I want to Raku fire.
Okay.
And I just want this thing to go as fast as it can because I want to get that piece out and I want to put it and I want to do Raku fire. Normally you don't do a lot of Raku fires in electric kilns, but just as an example, I'm going to do 1 segment. Okay, so I hit 1 and I hit enter.
Because it asked you to seg and you go 1.
And I told it I want 1 segment.
All right.
Now it's asking me, what is the ramp speed
Right.
of segment number 1?
Okay.
Okay, and it's flashing 50, but I can change that. I want that thing to go 500 degrees an hour.
Okay, that's per hour.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's your ramp of degrees per hour. Or if I really wanted it to go fast, I could enter all 9s. 9999 is full power.
Right.
It's maximum speed. Okay, 9999. And if I hit enter, it's going to ask me. It says degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, it's asking me what temperature of my first ramp of my first segment, I should say, do I want this to go to? Well, I want to fire it to 1800 degrees.
Right.
Okay, and then I hit enter.
Now that is if you put 500 degrees per hour and you go to 18, then the third hour it only goes to 18.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. Say I put in 1500 degrees
Right.
and I did 500 degrees an hour. What's that tell you? It'll take 3 hours to do
Right.
that firing. Okay. So, and the last thing it's going to ask me is hold for the first for my first segment. Okay. Currently it has 4-hour hold.
Right.
I'm going to say put 5-minute hold,
Okay, and then you enter.
and I hit enter.
Right.
The last thing it asks me is if I want to put an alarm on it, if you leave it all nines, it doesn't do an alarm. Otherwise, you could punch something in and it will make a beeping noise.
What are you gonna punch in there?
I'm actually going to leave it at 9999, which is off,
What's
which
the
is
alarm
alarm
tell
off.
you?
The alarm off, if I put in 500, it would beep at me at like 500 degrees.
Gotcha.
Okay? So it's just saying it's an
Every
an
time-
audio clue that the kiln will start to beep. It'll go beep, 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 beep. It'll go beep, 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 beep. If I don't want it to beep at me because I'm sitting here watching the kiln anyway,
500, it would beep at 500.
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
it's your choice. If
Well,
if you
if
just
you're
wanted to
going-
know, say I wanted to know when it's at 500
Oh,
degrees.
so you're saying it's going to... if
It's an
going-
audio
if
alarm.
It's going to 18, you say, oh, now it's at 500.
Yeah. It doesn't really tell me much for this purpose. There may be times when you want to know when it reaches a certain temperature. But if you leave it all nines, the alarm is off. And I hit enter. It says CPO, which means it's complete. I have entered
Right.
a program. Okay? Now, if I hit start, it's going to run that program. It's going to run at 9999 or full speed, full power, up to 1800 degrees. It's going to hold 5 minutes and then it's going to turn off.
That's program 5.
So that is currently entered under program 5. So if you ever walked over here again, right? Say you did a cone fire mode the next time and you did a bisque or something like that,
Right.
right? And you want to go back to the ramp and hold. Say you hit ramp and hold again and you hit 5,
And then enter.
enter, guess what? It's going to show you what is under 5. One segment, ramping at 9999 to 1800 degrees and holding 5 minutes and the alarm is off. And that's because once you enter something in ramp and hold, under one of these 6 numbers, it stores it and it will remember it.
Probably
Okay?
something I wouldn't use, but good to know.
Not something that's used all the time, but this thing has the capability of doing a pre-programmed that you figured out the rate of rise in temperature, the temperature you want to go to,
Right.
if you want to hold here or there, and you could link multiple segments together. So if I wanted to do one with multiple segments, that first thing it asks me is how many segments I want. Ramp and hold, user 5, I want to change my program. I'm going to, instead of one segment, I want 2 segments.
Right.
Okay? So it's going to ask me what I want to do. Say I want to only fire at 200 degrees an hour,
Right.
right? Up until I hit 1,000 degrees. Okay? With no hold. Now it's asking me my ramp speed for my second segment. So in that first segment, I went 200 degrees an hour to 1,000 degrees. Now I'm at 1,000 degrees. What do I want to do? Maybe now I want to go 500 degrees an hour to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit
Right.
and hold for 15 minutes. So now I just entered a program in which it has 2 segments. It's going to do 2 steps. It's going
Which program was that 2? Did you choose a 2?
I redid program 5.
Okay, so program 5 has
Now,
just been added.
what I just entered there is not a realistic program that someone would normally do. No one's going to want to fire 200 degrees an hour to 1,000 degrees, then jump up to 500 degrees an hour to
Right.
up to 2,000. You're normally going to use a ramp and hold program if you're firing a specialized kind of firing. And that may be a very, very thick sculpture that you want to bisque, that you want to only fire going like maybe 50 degrees an hour because it's so thick, you're afraid there might be water still inside it somewhere, and you fire real slow and you hold and make sure it dries out, and then you fire slowly again and then hold a little bit again to make sure it's dried, and then you go a little faster up until you get to about 1100, 1150, and then after that you're in a safer
Then you can
safer temperature. Then you could jump up to like 150 degrees an hour or 200 degrees an hour and fire all the way up the rest of the way. So you could do a graduated,
Okay.
protracted, slow rise until you hit a safe temperature for it to go faster, and then you could go faster. The other reason someone would do a ramp and hold is because they are firing something like a crystal glaze, right? In crystalline glazes, you want to do a controlled cool. On the way down, crystals can form in your glazes, and they could grow, and they could change shape and color depending on how those
Okay.
crystals grow in the glaze, depending on how you cool on the way down. The kiln finishes its firing, it drops 100 degrees and holds for an hour. It drops 200 degrees, holds for 2
Gotcha.
hours, goes up 100 degrees and holds for an hour. And what it does is it'll change the color and the shape of a crystal
Which-
forming in the
yeah.
glaze. And so people do that, specialized firings, for specialized projects. But you're generally not gonna do that.
Well,
You're gonna stick
you
to
know,
your cone fire mode, but you just kind of
When I
learn
read the
how to
books
do
and
it.
it tells me about a product or something I'm reading,
Yeah.
now I know.
Yeah.
Now I
you
know where
that
to,
this-
now I know where to go.